Welcome everyone to another episode of Rise and Thrive. I'm Vanessa Davis, and today we are going to be talking about doubt. And I'm so happy I have two of my favorite people here, DeRahn and Michelle. And not too often will you find people willing to talk about their own self-doubt. So I just want to thank you both for being willing to step into this space. I just want to take a moment to talk about what doubt is, because a lot of times we think we have an understanding of what that means, and a lot of people look at doubt as being the opposite of belief, but that's not the case. Doubt is actually standing in between belief and unbelief and not really being able to move forward. And for those of us that may have experienced a high level of childhood trauma, doubt really impacts so many different areas of your life. And the thing about doubt that makes it really killer is that you're really not aware of it until you're aware of it.
My name is DeRahn. I'm 46 years old, and I met Vanessa a couple of years ago. We're both consultants at the same nonprofit that provides services for former foster youth. Mm-hmm. And I specifically work with the young men, age 18 to 26, in a program called Bridges to Success. And in working with these young men, I'm realizing that doubt is such a major part in many different forms of everybody's life, of these men's lives. So when you mentioned that we're going to have a discussion about doubt and we can bring more clarity and more awareness to this topic, I jumped at it. So here I am.
Awesome. Let me just say, you are a good looking 46.
Thank you.
Yes. And my lovely friend, Michelle, we've been friends almost, 20 years. Yeah, but why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
All right, so my name is Michelle. And by trade, I'm a social worker. I have a passion for mental health. My background's in social work and psychology. Also work with children. And I'd say one of my life passions or populations is for unparented youth. Mm-hmm. And so that could be foster youth. It could be people who were orphaned. It could be people who actually lived at home with their parents, mm-hmm. who were not properly parented or adequately parented. It's a pleasure to be here. We do a lot of talking.
Right.
I am always game to capture some of it on camera so other people can see what we talk about.
Awesome. Can I ask where your passion for unparented youth comes from?
Being a former youth that was parented on a spectrum. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just finding that there were so many things that I wasn't taught or exposed to. And then also balancing that against the things that I was. But I just noticed that parenting is on a spectrum. Mm-hmm. And when I got out as an adult trying to make this transition, I actually was in a group home at one point. And then I was adopted, mm-hmm. like guardianship, right before I became an adult. Mm. And so I went through some of that spectrum just personally, and there are a lot of services out there for children who are orphaned mm-hmm. or abandoned, but there's also a gap for those that actually came out of homes that haven't been taught or mm-hmm. are not being supported as well. And I think there are fewer resources for those people. They're expected to be sufficient and taught. And
there's resources in the sense a lot of times of like tangible items, but there's not a lot of resources of like helping you go from like doubt to a place of belief. So thank you for sharing that. So I have a series of questions to ask you guys just to kick off this conversation, and feel free to be as open and vulnerable as you feel comfortable with. And if you want to share from your own experiences or from the experiences of people that you work with, just feel free. What is the role of doubt in your life, and when is the first time that you became aware of your own self-doubt? I know that's a pretty deep question.
I got introduced to self-help at the age of 33. So my life was divided into before 33 and after 33. So I was never raised with confidence. And at 33, I realized that you could change everything. You could change your mindset. You could change how you relate emotionally to the world. And that was with my first self-help book. It was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
Good book.
And then that just led me down the rabbit hole of different self-help books and seminars and just going down that path. So for me, it was the age of 33 when I realized that. I mean, before then, I knew that my whole life was doubt because I wasn't raised with doubt. And then I met people who didn't have much doubt in their world, or it wasn't that they didn't have doubt, but they looked confident from the outside. And I said, wow, I want to be like those people. But then at 33, I realized I could be like those people because self-help showed me that you can change everything. So that was my first instance where I realized that I want to be more confident and I can remove this self-doubt or at least decrease it and be a different person. So for me, it was 33. So, but before that, it was 33 years of not having confidence, lots of doubt, and not knowing that there was a way to change that. I thought that was just my world. That's how I'm going to be. I'm going to be doubtful and scared, and that's going to be my whole life. Before 33, after 33.
So up until 33, you were very aware that doubt was influencing your life.
Oh, yeah. I was just scared to do everything, especially when it comes to relationships and women. And I think a lot of men have that issue when it comes to approaching women or dating or trying to go for a specific type of woman. And that's where it resonated the most. That's where it was the most prevalent.
It's encouraging to hear that you made a shift at 33 because knowing you, you're so like assured and confident with yourself, and like that seems like it's been a lot of growth in a short amount of time.
It was. Thank you. And for me, it didn't seem like a short amount of time. It was because it was just blood, sweat, and tears. So from 33 to where I am now, and it's a continual battle. It's still, doubt will creep up in certain areas, and sometimes you'll be confident in other areas, and it's this spectrum that moves up and down. But I love the journey, and to overcome that, you have to be comfortable with going on the journey and understanding that there'll be ups and downs.
Right. So what about you, Michelle? Like, when did you become aware of doubt in your life?
Oh, my first acute memory of experiencing doubt, paralyzing doubt, was actually in high school. I was an athlete, and I was our top performer for youth physical fitness and ROTC. And it was my first meet, though. My first year doing sports. My dad wouldn't let me play, but I was incredibly athletic. My dad, we always played all kinds of sports.
Right.
Anyway, first meet, and I was doing, I think one of the events was like the long jump. So you have to stand and jump. The long jump in track too. I don't know. There's one where you can run and jump, but I'm standing on something. So it was one of those. And I remember like seeing where I was supposed to be jumping to, and I'm jumping and I'm like, I'm not getting very far. I mean, to the point where I'm hyperventilating. Like I'm like, I make the jump, I turn, I look back, I'm like, my hands are in the sand, and I'm like, I can do better than this. I can do better than this. And I try again, you get 3 jumps. And I remember shaking, hyperventilating, bursting into tears. They take us right over to the next event, which is pull-ups. On the pull-up bar, I bust out like 10, 12. And my dad's watching me, and he's like, you got it, girl. And I could see him, and he's like shaking his head, and he has his arms folded, but I'm like, I'm hanging from this bar, and tears are coming down my face. Like, I can't do it. I'm not going to be good enough. And so I, finished. My dad gives me a hug. We're waiting for the next event. They have to tally everything. And he's like, you did great. And I was like, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. And I'm like just hyperventilating. Like, he's like, breathe. And he gives me some Gatorade. Anyway, this is ridiculous. We go to the next event. It's running. And I was so overcome that I ran around the wrong cone. You have to stay in your lane. So I was disqualified from that event. Right? But I couldn't even see straight, like literally.
That had to be crushing to be disqualified.
It was, because I was already so amped. Right? Because you have to tally these scores for your team. It's not just an individual event. And so I'm just a mess. Anyway, we finish. We're all sitting down, and they tally up all these scores. And sure enough, I had the longest jump. Sure enough, I had the most pull-ups. Sure enough, my score was still disqualified for the run, but I placed first in like 4 events. My team won, and I just remember like thinking like, what is your problem? Why why was I the one? I remember looking around and trying to figure out why I was so affected. These other people that were doing 2 pull-ups.
Right.
Or if you do the push-ups, like if you can't do one, you could just, prop yourself up and do a plank. They're not hyperventilating.
Right. Right. They can only do 2.
Problem. That is I'm pretty sure I had doubt before that in life, but that is my first early memory of just not believing in myself, not thinking I could do it while I'm actively doing it.
Wow.
But to the point where I'm doing it and I still don't think I can do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a powerful story. It's interesting because knowing you, I know that being an athlete is something that's just very important to you, that you are an athlete. And I've just realized I'm someone, I feel like I've always wanted to be an athlete, and it's never something that was really cultivated in me, especially being tall. Like, people are always like, oh, you should play basketball.
Right. Right.
And I played basketball for a little while, but I didn't have anyone who would play with me. I didn't have access to a basketball. I didn't, I couldn't leave my house and go play basketball anywhere, my foster home where I was living. And so it was just something I was never able to cultivate. And now as an adult, I really want to cultivate that athletic spirit, and I find that starting to run more and training myself, it's a way that I'm working out my own self-doubt when it comes to that. And so just you with hiking and all the things that you do you feel like athleticism now is something where doubt plays a role at all, in either a good way or?
It does, actually. I think one of the reasons why you see me being so passionate about it now is that it's challenging for me. Those hikes that I do, recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder last year, there are times where I can feel how weak I am. It hurts literally to walk in the morning. And so there are times when I'm getting ready to go do something physical and I think that I'm going to struggle, or I'm, worried that I might not complete it, or the recovery will be intense. It works for and against, right? So before the workout, absolutely, there's a lot of doubt. Am I going to make it through this? And then after, I need to have done it. I need to have the feeling of I did this, even if it was difficult, I'm getting stronger. I'm not just maintaining, I'm actually building strength. So it works both ways, for and against.
What about you, DeRahn? Because I know you're very athletic, and you're a trainer, and you salsa dance. So you seem pretty confident in that area, but has doubt played a role at all in your athleticism?